So let's go through and actually get you some practice with this. Let's measure length. I would like you to please pause the video and try and record the length of this black object. Okay, now that you have had a chance to try this out, the correct answer is 41.64 centimeters. Now let's take a look at why. Again, looking down here, if this is 41 and this is 42, well, this must be 41.1, 41.2, 41.3, and so on. Okay, well now we can see that this object is greater than 41.6, but less than 41.7. And looking at it, I think it's a little bit closer to the 0.6. But we can see that our smallest increment then is the tenths, because we're going from 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.7 and so on. So we have to estimate our answer to be in the hundredths. And since I think that this is a little bit closer to 0.6, I'm going to estimate 41.64 centimeters. Again, if you had 41.65 or 41.63, somewhere close, that'd be just fine because that last value is an estimate. Let's try another one. I'd like you to please pause the video and try this one out on your own. All right, now that you've had a chance to try this, the correct answer is 8.0 millimeters. And let's take a look at why. Since this is 0, this line right here is 0, and this is 10, we need to count our way from 0 to 10. So this is going to be 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. And now it looks like this object is right on that 8 increment. But since our smallest increment is to the ones, it's going from 6 to 7 to 8 to 9. Since our smallest increment is the ones, we have to estimate to the tenths. We are telling them that we think it's like right on that 8.0 line. So 8.0 is going to be our smallest, or our correct answer. We cannot just say 8 because 8 would be if these increments were not here and it just went from 0 to 10. 8.0 is telling them, I know where 7 is, I know where 9 is, and it still looks like it's right on that 8 line. So let's get some practice with measuring volume. Again, first, one of the most important things, you need to measure to the bottom of what we call the meniscus. So you need to measure to the bottom of this curved line on the water. And this will be true for any liquid measuring device that you use. So now, please pause the video and try this measurement out on your own. All right, now that you've had a chance to try this one, the correct answer is 52.8 milliliters. And let's take a look at why. So if this is 50 right here, this big line, and this one is 60, that means that this is 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. Well, in this case, it is our ones place that's changing again because we're going from 51 to 52 to 53 to 54. So each one of these increments is a 1. Since that's our smallest increment, we have to estimate one place value to the right, and therefore we need to estimate to the tenths. So looking at this, I can see it's between 52 and 53. I think it's closer to 53, so I'm going to estimate this to be 52.8 milliliters. Again, I would like you to please pause the video and try this one out on your own. All right, now that you've had a chance to try this, the correct answer is 1400. And let's take a look at why. Here, our increments are increasing by 1,000. We're going from 1,000, I don't know, I didn't put any units on this in my awesome paint job. So we're going from 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000. So we're increasing by 1,000 at a time. Well, since our smallest increment is thousands place, we have to estimate to the hundreds. Has to be done. We're always going one place value to the right. And looking at the bottom of this awesome meniscus here, well, I think it's a little under halfway, so I would estimate it to be 1400. Now, last thing, let's just practice with a balance. So there's a couple different types of balances. In our classroom, this is more like the one we use called a triple beam balance. But let's get some practice on how to use this. So I would like you to, well, first, when you're using a mass balance, you need to add all of the masses together. And that's the only hint I'm going to give you until I ask you to please pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, now that you've had a chance to try this, your correct answer is 265.72 grams. So let's go through and see how we got that. First, we need to add the masses together. Well, this arrow is pointing to the 200, so we're going to have 200 grams, plus back here is on the 60, so we'd have plus 60 grams, and then down here, this is going from 5 to 6, so that means this is 5.1 and 5.2 and 0.3 and 0.4 and so on. And now we can see that this arrow is pointing to just barely over 5.7. And we know, since these are increasing by tenths, we need to estimate to the hundredths. So I might estimate this to be 5.72 grams. So I'm going to add 200 plus 60 plus 5.72, and I'm going to get that final answer of 265.72 grams. When you measure temperature, I don't have a practice one in here, but when you measure temperature, you still follow the same rules. Find your lowest increment or smallest increment and estimate one place value for it. For those of you interested, we have 3 different units for temperature. There's what's called Fahrenheit, Celsius, and then there's also what's called Kelvin, which students don't know a ton about, but it's based off of absolute zero. So like absolute zero is 0 degrees Kelvin. But anyway, here, if you ever want to convert from like Fahrenheit to Celsius, you basically take Fahrenheit minus 32 and multiply by 5/9. If you have Celsius and you want to get to Fahrenheit, you just multiply by 9/5 and add 32. And then if you ever want Kelvin, you just need to take your temperature in Celsius and add 273. And that is the end of our measuring notes.